The Invite is directed by Olivia Wilde, and it stars Olivia Wilde as well as Seth Rogen as a married couple, whom after years their marriage has now grown stale, and through a visit by their neighbors for dinner, a lot of unexpected tension rises to the surface. I seem to remember enjoying aspects of Olivia Wilde's first film, Booksmart. I skipped Don't Worry, Darling, but heard a lot of interesting things about it, especially regarding the drama on set, which is kind of funny considering how much drama this film focuses on. While you could describe The Invite as a romantic comedy of sorts, it is also an extremely uncomfortable drama. And I really mean that. This film was actually extremely impactful for me. It made me extremely uncomfortable, which was the intent, but I really mean this when I say I was probably more uncomfortable watching this movie than I was watching Uncut Gems or even Good Time. And that's really high praise for me because I'm a really big fan of the Safdie brothers. I don't think The Invite is quite as well directed as those movies. Just for the sake of comparing anxiety cinema here, I do think the Safdie brothers have a very unique, recognizable tone and atmosphere that they bring to their films that is so distinctly their own, whereas Olivia Wilde, I see a lot of pastiche here. As opposed to having her own individual flair, I kind of see that there's a lot of indie movie tropes within the presentation that don't exactly feel super inspired, but more like she's trying to make this highbrow prestige indie film. I wouldn't say it's to an annoying degree because it does match this material decently well, and there's enough substance with the material here that I'm okay with the direction not being anything super innovative or new. It took filmmakers like the Safdie brothers a few movies to build their own creative voice, and that's the case for a lot of filmmakers. This is a really well-directed movie and easily my favorite I've seen from Olivia Wilde. I think in regards to how impactful this film was for me on an emotional level, just might have to do with the fact that a lot of the subject matter honestly hits super close to home for me, and that might be a little personal to delve into. Look, I'm 25, I've never been married before, especially not to the extent that these people have where they've been together for years and have a 12-year-old daughter and are becoming old, bitter, and jaded towards each other. But I still found a lot of their conflicts very relatable, and I feel like the film sort of discussed a lot of personal insecurities of mine in relationships. And I really wasn't expecting that from this movie. So even though it made me extremely uneasy and not necessarily enjoying the experience of watching it, I'm glad it did because it genuinely made me feel something real. That's not something that happens to me super often in movies. I think where this film stylistically works best is whenever it does drop the score, and I think that's a criticism I have with a lot of movies. And it's not that the score here was necessarily distracting or pulled me out, but this entire film takes place in real time. You just watch this series of events unravel throughout this one evening, and I think where the presentation worked really well for me was when it did just hold on their conversations with no music, and you really just felt that tension in the air between these four characters conversing. Felt like you were really there. There were moments where it almost reminded me of Before Midnight, or just any other Richard Linklater film that plays out in that real-time format where you just see the characters conversing and being completely real with each other. The performances are all excellent, but I do want to note that Seth Rogen is weirdly incredible in this movie. Of course, everyone has the exact same critique of Seth Rogen, I think even Seth Rogen, and that he's just a one-note actor. He plays Seth Rogen in every movie, and you know what, that's fine. I think there are certain actors that can only play one type of character, and I think where people tend to criticize actors like that is when they're used in the wrong context and you don't see a character, you're just seeing Seth Rogen. But seeing him in the context of this older, bitter, jaded person, I thought serviced his acting sensibilities super well. I found his character extremely relatable in this movie, and I don't know what that says about me, but he did make me feel pretty seen, and I feel like I would respond to a lot of these situations the same way he did in this film, for better or worse. Olivia Wilde is also completely excellent in this movie. I really love a lot of what she does with her facial expressions here. She's super funny, but despite the hilarity with her character, I never felt like it was a comedic performance. She actually captured this anxious, insecure vibe really well and really realistically, to the point where she reminded me of people I know in my personal life. Penelope Cruz and Edward Norton are great as well. Super funny, served their roles perfectly. While nothing totally blew my mind about Olivia Wilde's directorial sensibilities, at least on a stylistic level, in the end, all that matters is the way this movie made me feel, and I've got to be honest, aside from all the super cringeworthy, uncomfortable emotions I was experiencing, this movie actually really touched my heart, and it actually brought me to tears a couple of times. Whether or not that's a personal bias thing because of how relatable I found this movie, or if it is just the level of filmmaking here. I can't quite speak to that, but as for my own personal experience, this was a really, really effective movie. A completely wild roller coaster of emotions. I don't know how well this film would have worked with different actors, but the way we have it, these actors just brought this material to life so well. There really is a beating heart, soul, and voice to this film. And no spoilers, but the way it resolved I found to be really satisfying. It was the kind of movie where when I was driving home afterwards, I just kind of drove in silence and was reflecting on it and reflecting on my personal life as well. These emotions are really hard for me to come by in modern films a lot of the time, so yeah, I'm honestly gonna give The Invite a 9 out of 10. Really great movie, really emotionally impactful experience, highly recommend it. Just know you're gonna be gripping with a lot of difficult emotions watching it. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have a good one.